This is kvci.blogspot.com or Boston G.B.R. on YouTube. Welcome to clip 18 concerning Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated and mistreated workers. I'm down at a local business here in Valdosta, Georgia. And what's your name, my beautiful sister? And what is the name of this business?
Hi, this is the sewing room. My name is Princess Rebels. I'm a professional seamstress, and I do sewing here, and I teach sewing here. But I also work at WG9. I'm a paraprofessional in special ed kindergarten through second grade class.
Okay, we talked the other day about Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated. I told you that I had been wrongfully terminated, and I've also talked to other people in the community who has problems with that particular company. Could you tell me a little about your experiences with Wal-Mart, please?
Yes, I used to work at Wal-Mart. I worked there for about 6 years and a few months. I was working there. I worked there in the fabrics and crafts department. I went to work one Saturday. I went to the deli to purchase 3 potato wedges. I told the girl, I said that's all I wanted. My blood sugar was a little low. I just wanted something to bring my blood sugar up, so I wanted 3 potato wedges. She said they won't weigh up. So I said, well, how about just try it? And she said, well, no. She just put them in a piece of parchment paper, balled it up, handed it to me as a sample. So I went to the break room. I ate it. She also gave me a sample of a piece of chicken nugget because it was one they had, and I had not tried that one. So anyway, I went to the break room, sat down and ate it. Went back to Fabrics and Crafts department, and the department manager came over there and asked me. He said, "Did you just go to the deli?" I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, well, what happened? I said, I went to the deli. I ordered 3 potato wedges. And the girl said it won't weigh up. She gave it to me as a sample. And then he said, well, could you come to the office? And I said, yes. I told him the same story, and I kept telling the same story over and over and over. And then one manager came in there and said, well, your story is not adding up. And I said, what do you mean? Indicating that I was lying. I said, okay. So I told this manager, I told that manager. Each time I told the story, I told the same thing, because I said, well, I have no reason to lie. I'm telling you what happened. And so they terminated me. They told me that give me your badge, give me your name tag, give me your box cutter, whatever else. Give me your smock, everything that they had issued me, they asked for me. And I was just going to let it slide, but I said no, I felt like I was wrongfully done, because they said that they fired me for integrity reasons, that I was lying. So I took it up with the Department of Labor. We had a hearing. And then when we had the hearing, they said they wanted to. Then they said they fired me for grazing. I said, what's grazing? So during the hearing, the guy explained what grazing was. He said, well, that's like taking something without paying for it. And I say, well, no, I didn't take anything without paying for it. I went to the deli. Girl gave me 3 potato wedges because she said they won't weigh up. Well, they said they went to the deli and they measured 3 potato wedges, and they say they weighed up. They cost 39 cents. They weren't the ones that I had, because they're not all the same sizes. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, that's pitiful. And I said, well, okay, so if you don't believe me, how about pulling up the tape? Because you're always saying, how about let's pull up the tape?
Right.
They didn't do that. They automatically assumed that I was lying, because the other girl lied and say, well, I gave them to her in a bag with a barcode and she didn't pay for them. I say, she's lying. I also had witnesses in the break room who saw me eat the potato wedges. So I say, well, they still didn't believe me. So in spite of that, they fired me. During the hearing, when we had a hearing with the Department of Labor, then the guy from loss prevention said, well, all right, that's like a cashier taking a nickel out of the cash register. I said, that's a very poor analogy, because that is not what I did. Then he said, well, that's like somebody taking a dollar item off the shelf. I said, that's still a very poor analogy, because that is not what I did. Mm-hmm. I said, I was given at the deli as sample, because the girl said I went way up. So then they asked him, well, why did you say you fired her? They say for integrity reasons, but then they brought up grazing. Did you fire her for grazing? They asked. Well, no, they didn't fire me for grazing. They fired me for integrity reasons, because they believed I was lying. And they said, well, she signed this in the handbook, during her hire date. Yes, I did, but now when they fired me, they didn't say grazing. They said integrity reasons. It's on the paper over there on the table. That's what loss prevention told the people at the Department of Labor during the time that we was having a hearing. And that was the first time they had brought that up. So then they ruled in my favor, because it was upon them to prove that, I done a wrong. But I had proved that I had done no wrong, that I didn't violate anything, any of their
rules, laws, or guidelines.
Their rules, laws, or guidelines. I didn't violate anything, because I didn't do anything wrong. Not according to what they say I did, So they ruled in my favor. I could have got my job back, but I didn't want it back. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? But the point of the matter is, I was wrongfully terminated for something they said I did, that because they believed I was wrong. Well, why don't you just follow protocol and, view the tape? Mm-hmm. But they just automatically assumed that. Now, mind you now, I'm thinking, okay, I had 3 workman's comp cases. Mm-hmm. Because I had got hurt on the job.
At the same company?
At the same company, twice. Once while I was on restrictions. So that was like a hush-hush thing,
What do you mean hush-hush?
Because I got hurt while I was already on restrictions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they sent me home. Well, why are you sending me home? You should not let me come back. If it was against company's policy, don't let me come back on restrictions. Mm-hmm. Where they say, well, she can't bend from the waist, or she can't lift anything more than 10 pounds. Put her on light duty somewhere else outside of the department. But they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. They just kept me in the department, and I had to do the same duties, same stuff. And while I was still working in that department, not on light duty somewhere else outside of that department, I got hurt again, and then they're going to send me home. Mm-hmm. Wrong, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then, while I'm on duty, then they send me out, out to some cabin or whatever, to bring in merchandise, and a sewing machine fell. The lady, one of the department managers, was handing sewing machines to me, and the sewing machine that was inside of the box fell and hit me in the chest. Mm-hmm. Now I'm on restrictions, and then but every time you get hurt, see, you have to report it, and you have to write up an incident report. Well, aren't you on restrictions? Aren't you not well, hello, you the one got me doing this.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I felt like this is a conspiracy here. This is why these people are doing this, because I didn't do anything wrong. So, maybe that's why they're doing this. I don't know.
Okay. So the bottom line, you left Wal-Mart. You worked there for how long? You say you was nearing how many years?
6. A little over 6 years. 6 years, 3 months, and so.
What happened if you stayed for 7 until you reached 7 years? What would have happened?
I would have been fully vested in the company.